NSA meet. India is hosting a 2-day NSA meeting. Two killed on Mumbai-Vadodara highway as a speeding BMW rams into a divider. Crash was so severe that occupants were thrown about 200 meters in the air. Eknath Shinde calls a press conference with the rebel UBT MPs at 3 p.m. today. Merger with the Shinde faction likely. Tornado-like vortex in Tamil Nadu's Thoothukudi damages a toll plaza theme park before dying down near an airport. Now, ladies and gentlemen, a birthday celebration ended in a tragedy on Maharashtra's Mumbai-Vadodara highway, where two young people lost their lives and another was critically injured after a high-speed BMW convertible crashed and overturned multiple times in the early hours of Sunday. Now, the accident took place near Badlapur in Thane district, where the police are now investigating the cause of the crash, including whether excessive speed and alcohol consumption played a role. Well, according to police, the speeding BMW Z4 convertible crashed in a road divider on the Mumbai-Vadodara highway near Iranjar in Badlapur between 2 and 4 a.m. The vehicle reportedly overturned several times before coming to a halt. The victims were returning from Titwala when the accident occurred on an under-construction stretch of the highway. 26-year-old Yogesh Dighe and 24-year-old Rikeba Jacob, both residents of Badlapur, died on the spot. A third occupant, identified as Anand, suffered critical injuries and is currently undergoing treatment at a private hospital in Thane. Police say preliminary findings suggest that the luxury sports car was travelling at an extremely high speed when the driver lost control and slammed into the divider. The force of the impact completely mangled the convertible. Eyewitnesses reported that debris from the vehicle was scattered across a large area. Some also claimed that body parts were found at a considerable distance from the wreckage site due to the severity of the crash. A purported video circulating on social media allegedly shows the speedometer touching 251 kilometers per hour moments before the crash. However, police have not verified the authenticity of the footage. Investigators are also examining whether alcohol consumption contributed to the accident. A forensic team has already visited the site and collected evidences, while the authorities note that the crash occurred on a section of the road that had not yet been opened to the public and lacked street lighting. Now, the bodies of the deceased have been sent for post-mortem examination, while police have registered a case of accidental death. Further investigation into the circumstances surrounding the crash is now underway. And to discuss matters of road safety, I'm joined by a road safety expert, President Tracks NGO, Mr. Anurag Kulshetra. Mr. Kulshetra, thank you for taking your time and joining me over here at News 9. This is absolutely horrific, what we are looking at on our screens right now. But tragically, Mr. Kulshetra, this is not the first time. There have been a series of such cases that we have seen in the past as well, and there seems to be no learning from it. Whether it is the youngsters for the speed thrills them without understanding that it's also going to kill them many a times. And we're looking at exactly that. That is what has happened in the Thane district. But as far as government and authorities are concerned, can there be certain steps that can possibly be taken as far as limiting and restricting speed is concerned, whether it is maybe speed recording play or tech as far as speed governors, geofencing that can perhaps prevent speed as high as 250, which could perhaps save lives? Mr. Kulshetra, what do you have in your views?
Yeah, actually, Samya, as you have said, these are the common situations on our roads, on our highway even. Number of times I have urged the government and even on news channels also, if Pakistan can made one highway police separately while making new highways and expressways, why not India? Pakistan has made this highway police in 1975 and we are unable to do that. And to be very frank, we are focusing on the IT more and more and more. That is the active enforce. This is passive enforcement. But we are assigning completely this active enforcement. That is the role of the police physically. What's going on? We are making the rules or the policies just this is a public-centric enforcement system or the penalty system. We are having number of cameras here and there on our highways also, but for just for recording purpose and for the penalty purpose. But to maintain the discipline, there must be an active role of this active enforcement. That is, if somebody is over speeding, naturally it will be caught in the cameras within like a 10-kilometer distance or 15-kilometer distance. Then the role of active enforcement starts. If somebody is over speeding, naturally our police will chase and police will caught them at the spot and reduce that the type of disapprobation. But we are not doing this.
Line that there are certain emergency response gaps when it comes to the highway, especially in these blind hours between 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. What, in your view, can possibly be done to ensure that the highways are manned? You are saying there should be a separate highway police that should be arranged for. There should be a separate such a group or an organization that the government should try to introduce, because there doesn't seem to be an end to these concerns surrounding high speed, especially in the highways.
Yes, Samya, if you'll think about or discuss about the system, our enforcement system, it's a Thana-based system.
Yes.
And our highways and expressways, they are inaccessible to these Thana police. They cannot move on the expressway for the exits and entries. And if they're reaching over there, the limits will over. So it is to be very frank, if there's no highway police, such incidents will be repeating again and again. There must be a separate things. Active enforcement and passive enforcement must work together, which is somewhere missing. We are just hypothetically, we are assuming, or we are taking the remedies like this, IT, deploying speed cameras and exits and entries, kilometers. But where is the enforcement? How to do that enforcement? We don't know. We are just doing all these nonsenses. I'll say nonsenses, because this is a copy without brain from the international or the other countries. Because they are having if you'll see the number of incidents in abroad, what is happening? If somebody is over speeding on any of the expressways or the highways, immediately police is getting the information, that is the live information, and then police start chasing that person. But here, we are doing the enforcement just for the penalty point of view, deploying the cameras, and after 2 days, that person, or 1 day, that person will get the information on the mobile. But there's no particular framework to stop or to maintain the discipline on our roads. And here, I'll say frankly, our governments, central government and state governments, there's no framework. Even Supreme Court committee is focusing a lot on this, but ultimately depends upon the expert.
Mr. Kurukshetra, I hate to interject over there, but I have to bring your view also on the subject matter that while in India, we are celebrating several highways being constructed, the connectivity being celebrated. When it comes to manning those highways, there's hardly anything being done in that direction. You are absolutely right to say that these are the highways that come under the Thana's jurisdiction. Yes. And that is exactly where lies the difficulty. And also, as far as under construction highways are concerned, which is usually close to people, do you feel just putting up barricades and signages are enough? Or should there be something more than that? Because when you are driving at night between 1 a.m. or maybe till wee hours of the night, those signages may be absolutely immaterial. If somebody is driving down at a speed of 251, you really think he's going to stop and see a signage?
No, hardly, because to be very frank, Samya, 99% people are not looking towards or focusing on these, basically the signboards and all. And these are not very well also by these authorities. It must be a common SOPs for all these persons. If the lane marking is missed, why there is a need of audit? It is missed means missed. It's a matter of the penalty on the highway authorities. If the signboard is not there, then it's a matter of the penalty on the highway authority. If you have missed this, you have not placed the signboard as per the SOPs, then you will be penalized. What is going on? We are having the audit system in our India, short-term audit and long-term audit. Agencies are coming. Government of India is throwing the money into that, and they are giving the report. Lane marking is missing, signboards are missing, this cracks are there on the roads. We are having the regular check on our highways and expressways. We are having toll plazas. We are having the toll authorities. They are monitoring regularly. Where is that report? What they themselves are doing? But thousands of reports are lying idly with these civic agencies. There's no action on that. So simply, number one, enforcement must be there with active and passive enforcement both. Because I have in the night hours, we hardly have any police officials on our roads. I know the number is very less in our police department, so must be the new police persons must be deployed, but it is a matter of the less manpower on our roads. In the night hours, police is missing everywhere. Just 1% police personnel are available on our roads, and that is not traffic police.
No, but Mr. Kulshetra, if there is a difficulty as far as manpower is concerned, can tech be used to good effect? Can there be real-time intimation in the nearby thanas? Can there be recordings that can be real-time? Is there any way that tech can be used? And what sort of a tech? Because we're talking about, there are cases of drinking and driving. We are not saying this particular case has a case of drinking and driving because that is yet to be ascertained. But when it comes to high speed, whether it comes to flouting traffic norms, especially in these hours, it goes absolutely unchallenged. There is no sense of discipline that is being introduced. And how can that happen without any penalty? Do you feel there should be stronger enforcement of penalties?
Stronger and smarter enforcement.
Yes.
Not the copied enforcement related to IT only. I have already told you this IT is perfect, but there's no live monitoring and the chasing system in our India. We are just living on the mercy of the drivers or the road users. If you are doing speeding, no problem. We'll penalize you later on. If you're dying, then die. This is a simple system which we are following, but separate highway force, it is required in our India at a top urgency level, which is missing. And I know next 10 years, nothing will happen on that. Enforcement, because in Delhi and the nearby cities even, where the police was doing the proper enforcement, that is the active enforcement, top officials have stopped it. No need to interact with the public directly. Use the digital enforcement and take the pictures and penalize directly online. So this is a system we are disturbing or ruining our existing system of active enforcement. We are playing the games and sitting in the idly in the rooms, taking the pictures, taking the record of the over speeding and without helmet and doing the challans online. So this is a very not typical situation in our country. We have to realize, our top leadership has to realize this thing. Okay, this passive enforcement will never work anywhere in the world only if we are not mixing it with the active enforcement. And otherwise, such incidents, we must remember the incident on the same road of Mr. Tata's chairman, Mr. Cyrus Mistry.
Yes.
He was died in the same situation. He was over speeding. His car was on over speeding, that is 180 or 200. He died. And these happenings will continue in India till the moment we are not having any framework into that. And second thing, we are just appraising and making the numbers. We are producing 40 kilometer, 50 kilometer roads in a day. What will happen if people are dying? First, think on that. Don't produce more babies on our roads if you are not able to feed them. Or you are not able to basically save them, giving the safeguards to them. So first think on the safety, because road safety is the last priority for the government. Hardly we have seen the statement from our Prime Minister also on road safety, because he knows very well if he will give some statement on camera to the public, nobody will follow it because we are following VIP culture and our politicians will.
No, it is a matter of grave concern, Mr. Kulshetra, and you have brought in some very, very important and perhaps actionable advices for the government and the authorities if they are really serious to ensure that there is a serious end to these speed fatal accidents that are taking place because of the need for speed for the youngsters. But whether at all that's going to be implemented in the near future, there's going to be any policy changes, well, we will have to wait and watch. But thank you so much, Mr. Anurag Kulshetra, for taking your time and joining me here at News 9.
Thank you, Samia.
Now, lakhs of medical aspirants appeared for the NEET-UG re-examination on Sunday under an unprecedented security blanket after the original exam held on 3rd May was scrapped following allegations of a paper leak. Conducted by the National Testing Agency, the retest saw participation from nearly 22.75 lakh registered candidates across 5,440 examination centres nationwide. And as candidates stepped out of the examination centre, a common sentiment emerged, where this year's paper was tougher than the cancelled 3rd May examination. While opinions varied on overall difficulty, most students agreed that the physics section was the most challenging and time-consuming. Biology was comparatively easy and chemistry fell somewhere in the middle.
फिजिक्स वगैरह पार्ट बता रहे हैं थोड़ा सा। ओके, पिछली बार से कुछ थोड़ा सा
टफ ही बोल रहे एक तरह से, पिछली बार से तो इजी था।
अब दूसरे सब्जेक्ट्स फिजिक्स के अलावा
बायो का केमिस्ट्री मॉडल
थोड़ा होपफुल है इस बार आप?
थोड़ा बहुत।
Now, at Delhi's Pandara Road Examination Centre, several aspirants said that the paper demanded a greater conceptual understanding than the previous years, while many reported spending a significant amount of time on physics questions, which they described as lengthy and calculation intensive.
नीट एग्जाम कंडक्ट हो चुका है और उसके बाद अब पंडारा रोड पर आप सेंटर के सामने आप देख सकते हैं बच्चे एग्जाम देकर बाहर निकलते हुए आपको दिखाई दे रहे होंगे। बेटा कैसा हुआ एग्जाम? कैसा रहा?
मॉडरेट था। मॉडरेट
बहुत
मॉडरेट था मतलब।
अच्छा, पहले से ज्यादा वैसे कठिन था?
पहले से मुझको ज्यादा टफ लगा।
कितना कितना आज इस बार तो 15 मिनट का एक्स्ट्रा टाइम दिया था।
हाँ, तो ठीक ही गया।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। और भी बच्चे आ रहे हैं, उनसे बात करते हैं कि बच्चों का एग्जाम कैसा रहा?
पेपर बहुत टफ था। केमिस्ट्री और फिजिक्स सेक्शन बहुत टफ आई थी। ऐसा नहीं बनाना चाहिए पेपर, अगर 1 महीने का आप टाइम देते हो।
पिछली बार कैसा था हुआ था?
25 से टफ है और 26 से जो हुआ था उससे इजी है।
अच्छा, इस बार 15 मिनट का एक्स्ट्रा टाइम भी दिया?
उसका कोई फायदा नहीं।
टफ एग्जाम आया,
सवाल छूट गए।
कैसा हुआ पेपर?
बायो तो एकदम इजी थी और फिजिक्स थोड़ी टफ थी। केमिस्ट्री मॉडरेट थी। बायो जितनी इजी थी फिजिक्स उतनी हार्ड थी।
उतना ही हार्ड। 15 मिनट जो एक्स्ट्रा टाइम मिला उससे कुछ बेनिफिट मिला क्या?
हाँ, बेनिफिट मिला कि मतलब जो इन्विजिलेटर होते हैं उसकी वजह जो टाइम वेस्ट होता है वो थोड़ा हमारे मन में था कि टाइम एक्स्ट्रा तो वो नहीं हुआ, घबराहट नहीं हुई।
कैसे आ रहा बेटा एग्जाम?
पेपर अच्छा गया।
कितने आपने क्वेश्चन?
मेरा तो बायोलॉजी अच्छा हुआ है, बढ़िया हुआ है।
बढ़िया हुआ है।
हाँ, अच्छा था पेपर।
एग्जाम से, नीट के एग्जाम से इस बार का जो एग्जाम हुआ है, पेपर आया है, वो कैसा है?
पेपर अच्छा था, मॉडरेट पेपर था, बढ़िया पेपर आया है, पहले से काफी ठीक था।
काफी अच्छा था।
हाँ,
15 मिनट जो एक्स्ट्रा टाइम दिया गया उसका बेनिफिट मिला?
हाँ, उसका भी काफी बेनिफिट मिला।
एक्स्ट्रा क्वेश्चन आप अटेम्प्ट कर पाए?
काफी क्वेश्चन किए मैंने, जितना मतलब मेरा पॉसिबल था।
And similar feedback poured in from centres across the country, from Srinagar to Ranchi, where the students largely concurred that the physics required the maximum effort, while biology and chemistry provided some relief with the relatively straightforward questions. Subject experts also assessed the paper as above average in difficulty, and according to them, the examination placed greater emphasis on conceptual clarity, analytical thinking, and application-based learning rather than memorization. And with the credibility of the NEET examination under intense scrutiny following the paper leak controversy and the widespread criticism around opposition parties and the public authorities implemented an intensive security framework for the retest. Measures included biometric verification of the candidates, CCTV surveillance at centres, signal jammers, thorough frisking procedures, and coordination among multiple agencies to ensure a fair and transparent examination process. The focus now shifts to the evaluation process and declaration of results, even as authorities seek to restore confidence in one of the country's most important entrance examinations. Now, a major industrial tragedy recently happened in Tamil Nadu. The death toll in the ammonia gas leak incident at a private seafood processing and export facility in Tiruvallur district has risen to 5, according to the Tamil Nadu Health Minister's office. The incident occurred on 21st June when an ammonia gas leak was reported at the industrial unit during the routine operations, leading to the exposure of workers present at the site. And following the incident, emergency response teams, including district administration officials, police personnel, fire and rescue services, and public health authorities, were immediately deployed to the spot to manage the situation and provide medical assistance. According to the Office of the Health Minister, Tamil Nadu, a total of 74 individuals have been reported affected by the incident. And of these, 67 individuals are currently receiving treatment and are under medical observation. 2 individuals were discharged, while officials say that the affected individuals primarily exhibited symptoms consistent with ammonia inhalation, including breathlessness, irritation of the eyes and respiratory tract coughing, chest discomfort, and varying degrees of respiratory distress. The exact cause of the leak is currently under investigation by the competent authorities. Meanwhile, DMK and Communist Party MLAs have urged the Tamil Nadu Assembly Speaker to take up the issue of the Tiruvallur ammonia gas leak in the ongoing session of the State Assembly. Seeking a detailed discussion on the industrial safety lapses, earlier on Sunday, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister C. Joseph Vijay expressed shock and sorrow over the tragedy and announced an ex gratia payment of 2 lakh rupees each from the Chief Minister's Public Relief Fund to the families of the deceased. The Chief Minister also ordered the formation of a 3-member committee comprising officials from the Directorate of Industrial Safety and Health, the Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board, and the Directorate of Public Health to investigate the incident. The panel has been directed to submit an interim report within 24 hours and a final report within 3 days. Now, India is all set to host a 2-day BRICS National Security Advisors meeting beginning from today. Deputy Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council of Iran, Ghadir Nizami, has arrived in New Delhi to participate in the meeting of the BRICS National Security Advisors and heads of security agencies. And during this visit, he is expected to hold meetings with relevant officials from participating countries to exchange views on security issues and multilateral cooperation. BRICS meetings will be chaired by National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. During the meeting, the National Security Advisors and heads of delegations of BRICS members country will exchange views on the theme Non-Traditional Security Challenges Confronting the World Today. The External Affairs Ministry has said that the meeting will hold discussions on the rapidly evolving nature of the national security challenges as well as the role of the new technologies in the emerging security threats. The National Security Advisors and heads of delegation will also review the outcomes of the recently held BRICS joint working groups on counter-terrorism and on security in the use of the information and communication technologies. And with that, we're slipping into a short break right now. Lots more lined up. Stay tuned.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9, English news as it should be. आगे 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 power से रहे आगे आगे push से Dump in your roots, dump in your bones, rose be your Amul दूध and go for gold. आगे आगे बढ़ती है दुनिया, Amul दूध पीती है दुनिया.
Why has Iran stopped the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz?
They want to attack us, they want to target us, so we have to defend ourselves.
They are punishing countries outside the region as well, like India, and like countries in South and East Asia.
The big problem that they've created now is the closure of the strait.
Ultimately, the main purpose of this exercise is, frankly, to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
Whenever they've got involved in a war on behalf of somebody else, there isn't been just an altruistic purpose.
Amid a fragile ceasefire, stakeholders take on the tough questions.
Was Israel surprised by the asymmetric warfare which Iran started conducting?
Yes, I think it was a kind of surprise, the level of savagery.
Why has Iran stopped the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz?
So we have to defend ourselves.
Like never before, on point with Kartikeya Sharma, decoding Hormuz, Kharg, and the ceasefire.
What is the future of peace in West Asia?
I hope that they got their lesson.
That are supposed to give a chance. We stay ready in case it doesn't work.
Every war has a political objective.
The voices that matter, only on News 9. This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9. English news as it should be.
Welcome back. Now, the Ram Mandir in Ayodhya, which is a symbol of faith for millions, is now at the center of a major controversy. A multi-crore donation row at the Ayodhya Ram Mandir has now reached the doors of a special investigation team. The Uttar Pradesh government has formed a 3-member SIT to probe allegations of missing funds and possible misuse of devotees' donations. But why? And what exactly is the case? Who raised the allegations? And why has the matter not triggered arrests and demands for a deeper probe? A special investigation team is investigating allegations of financial irregularities involving donations made to the temple. The controversy began after Samajwadi Party chief and former Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav alleged that crores of rupees donated by devotees had gone missing. Yadav called the matter extremely sensitive and questioned why CCTV footage of the donation counting process was not made public. The allegations were rejected by the Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra Trust, and the trust said that its internal audits had not found any discrepancies. It also said that the representatives of the trust and the State Bank of India were involved in periodic audits. But the controversy did not end there. A BJP leader from Ayodhya wrote to Prime Minister Narendra Modi demanding complete transparency over the donations received by the temple. He said devotees who contributed their money, ornaments and valuables had the right to know how the funds were being managed. The matter escalated further after senior BJP leaders also raised concerns. Former BJP MP Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh claimed that he knew about alleged misuse of donations, while senior leader Vinay Katiyar demanded strict action if anyone was found guilty. Then came a major twist. 2 temple officials were arrested during the investigation. Reports say that police recovered around 10 lakh rupees in cash from the residence of one employee involved in counting donations. However, investigators have not confirmed whether the recovered cash is linked to the alleged donation irregularities. The employee's family has claimed that the cash was planted to frame him. But following the allegations, the UP government constituted a 3-member SIT, and the team includes the senior officials from the administration, police and finance departments. The SIT has been tasked with examining the entire donation collection system, and from counting procedures to security protocols, employee records, documents and CCTV monitoring. The investigators have also questioned trust members and staff involved in handling offerings. The probe comes at a time when the Ram Mandir has received massive public contributions. Since its opening in January 2024, devotees have donated hundreds of crores. And on the first day itself, offerings reportedly crossed 3 crore rupees. According to Trust's annual figures, the temple body recorded earnings of around 327 crore rupees in the financial year 2024 to 2025. The SIT probe is now looking to answer one key question: whether there are any irregularities in handling of these donations, or are the allegations unfounded? The final answer will depend on the investigation report expected in the coming days. What we are bringing to you right now from Ayodhya is absolutely shocking, where a symbol of faith, the Ram Mandir, is at the heart of a major controversy, a controversy that goes into multi-crore donation row at Ayodhya Ram Mandir, which has reached the doorstep of the Special Investigation Team. The UP government has taken cognizance of the complaints being raised by several quarters and has formed a 3-member SIT to probe allegations of missing funds and possible misuse of devotees' donation. But what exactly is the case, and who raised these allegations, and why has the matter not triggered arrests and demand for a deeper probe? The investigation team, remember, is investigating allegations of financial fraud, irregularities involving donations made to the temple by devotees. The controversy began when Samajwadi Party chief and former UP Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav alleged that crores of rupees donated by devotees had gone missing. Akhilesh Yadav called the matter extremely sensitive and questioned why CCTV footage of the donation counting process was not made public. The allegations were rejected by Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra Trust, where the trust asserted its position, saying that the internal audits had not found any discrepancy. However, the controversy did not end there, because the BJP's own leaders from Ayodhya wrote to Prime Minister Modi demanding transparency over donations received by the temple, as devotees contributed heavily with their money, ornaments and valuables, had the right to know how the funds were being managed. Now, 54 people have been injured while 18 are missing after an explosion at Qatar's core liquefied natural gas processing site of Ras Laffan on Sunday, is what the authorities said. An incident during the startup of the operations at Ras Laffan Industrial City resulted in an explosion and fire at the Barzan local gas supply facility on Sunday evening. Qatar Energy said in a statement that the emergency response team were deployed to contain the fire, which has now under control. 54 people had been injured and rescue teams were looking for 18 missing people. Qatar's Interior Ministry has said in a statement that it attributed the explosion to a technical accident and said that there was no threat to public safety. Qatar Energy did not indicate whether the explosion had caused any damage to the plant, which supplies gas to the domestic market. A Reuters witness earlier reported that a loud boom was heard in the capital Doha, south of the Ras Laffan facility. The Barzan gas facility has a capacity of 1.4 billion cubic feet per day and supplies the pipeline gas to local industries and Qatar's power generation sector. It also has capacity to produce ethane, condensate, liquefied petroleum gas and sulfur for domestic and export markets. The facility is located in Ras Laffan Industrial City. Qatar Energy's primary site for LNG production and export, with a total production capacity of 77 million metric tons per annum via 14 trains. 2 of Qatar's LNG trains and 1 of its 2 gas-to-liquids facilities were damaged in strikes amid the US-Israeli war with Iran, knocking out 17% of the country's LNG export capacity, with repairs expected to take few years. The US and Iran made progress during talks in Switzerland towards reaching a final deal within 60 days, including the agreement to establish a committee and a mechanism to end hostilities in Lebanon. However, all this is dependent on the tightrope walk between US, Iran and Israel. And building on a memorandum of understanding signed last week, the parties agreed to establish a high-level committee. The chief negotiators will report regularly to the committee and lead working groups on nuclear sanctions and dispute resolution, according to the joint statement. The US has also agreed to establish a deconfliction cells between the US, Iran and Lebanon, and the goal of these cells will be to end all the hostilities. However, conspicuous by absence in this cell is Israel. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi described the talks as having delivered major progress, saying that Tehran had secured what he described as waivers for oil and petrochemical exports, the lifting of the blockade on its ports, the release of some frozen assets, and the launch of a reconstruction and development plan. In a post on platform X, Araghchi said that the newly established deconfliction mechanism in Lebanon would be the first real test of the agreement. Araghchi's statement comes as Israel continues to pound Lebanon and its leaders come out and say that the agreement is not binding on them. The other area of concern has been the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran has linked with the conflict in Lebanon. Trump had posted that Iran should control its proxies in Lebanon, while Iran said that Hormuz will open only once the hostilities in Lebanon ends. And this makes Israel the biggest concern for the peace deal, as Israel has made it clear that it will not rest until its military goals in Lebanon is met. The US has also added that its negotiators were focused on securing Iran's enriched uranium stockpile to make it effectively possible for Tehran to rebuild its nuclear program. He added that the US retained a significant economic leverage if Iran failed to comply with the agreement. The US and Iran made progress during the talks. A key global shipping route is back in business. Oil tankers are once again moving through the Strait of Hormuz, and the United States lifted its blockade on Iran under the newly signed interim peace agreement. The development marks the first major sign that the US-Iran deal is beginning to take effect on ground. Take a look at the special report.
Oil tankers sailed through the Strait of Hormuz on Thursday after the United States said it had lifted its blockade on Iran under an interim deal aimed at ending the war. Oil markets reacted positively, with prices falling to their lowest level since March 2nd. Analysts say exports through the strait could return to normal in the coming months. But despite the breakthrough, significant tensions remain. Israel continued its war against Hezbollah in Lebanon, raising questions about whether the agreement will hold. In Washington, President Donald Trump is facing criticism from within his own party. Some Republican allies are questioning whether he gave up too much to end the conflict, which remains unpopular with American voters. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei said Trump signed the deal out of desperation. He warned that upcoming talks would not be easy, saying, "If the American side wants to be too demanding, we will not accept it." The agreement gives negotiators 60 days to reach a deal on Iran's nuclear program and sets up a $300 billion reconstruction fund for Iran, along with other incentives. Meanwhile, fresh complications have emerged. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, who was set to lead the American delegation, pulled out of the Switzerland negotiations set for Friday. That's according to a White House spokesperson. Switzerland also confirmed the news. Still, critics say Iran may be emerging in a stronger position, having maintained influence over the Strait of Hormuz and secured relief from some financial sanctions. Iran says it will continue directing traffic through the strait during the 60-day period. Meanwhile, Israeli airstrikes in Lebanon continued on Thursday, displacing more than 1 million people. Trump says he expects a full ceasefire across all fronts, but with tensions still high, the path to peace remains uncertain.
And with that, we're slipping into a short break right now. Lots more lined up. Stay tuned.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it is.
Amid a fragile ceasefire, stakeholders take on the tough questions.
Was Israel surprised by the asymmetric warfare which Iran started conducting?
Yes, I think it was a kind of surprise, the level of savagery.
Why has Iran stopped the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz?
So we have to defend ourselves.
Like never before, on point with Kartikeya Sharma, decoding Hormuz, Kharg, and the ceasefire.
What is the future of peace in West Asia?
I hope that they got their lesson.
That are supposed to give a chance. We stay ready in case it doesn't work.
Every war has a political objective.
The voices that matter, only on News9.
At the heart of innovation, engineering meets purpose. From cleaner air to smarter mobility, filtration technology is shaping the future of industries worldwide. Global filtration leader Man & Hummel strengthens its footprint in India with the launch of its largest global technology and innovation center outside of Germany in Tumkur, a major step towards driving advanced engineering, digital innovation and sustainable solutions from the heart of Karnataka. This state-of-the-art center unites cutting-edge research, digital engineering and sustainability under one roof. This investment of over 100 crore rupees underscores Man & Hummel's deep commitment to India's engineering excellence and its ambitious global goals. News9 partners with Man & Hummel for a series of thought leadership conversations.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it should be.
Welcome back. Now, 2 years after Brazil's deadliest floods claimed 181 lives, communities are once again on an alert. Meteorologists are warning that a powerful El Nino could bring extreme rainfall later this year. And take a look at the special report.
Rubble from the worst flooding in Brazil's history still sits in Porto Alegre. In May 2024, the disaster claimed at least 181 lives. Now, residents here are bracing for an intense El Nino that meteorologists say could bring extreme rains later this year. Despite investments in infrastructure, warning systems, and monitoring, Porto Alegre's Sarandi neighborhood remains a symbol of the city's vulnerability. This Sarandi resident says there is fear of a repeat tragedy.
People are scared. They're scared about what if it happens again. You'll see. Not only can you not buy things for your home, but even the little bit you managed to buy, that you managed to get for your home, if it rains again, a downpour, a heavy rain again, then what? You'll lose everything all over again.
Porto Alegre Mayor Sebastião Melo says the city is safer than it was during the 2024 floods and is working to repair pumping stations, rebuild dikes, and improve floodgates. This week, the city's water and sewage utility picked a consortium to carry out about $4.7 million in state-financed flood protection works. The state government is also pitching in with investments in a logistics center for disaster operations and an El Nino readiness program for vulnerable municipalities. But there may be little time to spare. Here is meteorologist Estael Ciaz.
And it's the intensity forecast that has been drawing a lot of attention. Several models are indicating the potential for a strong or even very strong El Nino, one that could turn out to be among the most intense in climate history since the satellite era when this monitoring began.
Now, Iraq is looking beyond the Persian Gulf. After the Iran war disrupted shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, Baghdad is preparing to export crude oil and naphtha through neighboring Syria. Take a look at the report.
Iraq is preparing to export crude oil and naphtha through ports in Syria, Iraqi and Syrian energy officials and refinery sources said. That's after the Iran war cut off its main Gulf shipping routes. Iraq's efforts to diversify its export routes, including through Syria, will continue even after the Iran war ends and shipping returns to normal, two sources said. Before the war, Iraq mainly exported its fuel oil from the Gulf port of Khora Zubair in Basra, southern Iraq. Since the effective closure of the Strait of Hormuz, Iraq has exported fuel oil through Syria's Mediterranean port of Banias. Within a week, Syria plans to open 2 extra unloading areas and other facilities in Banias to handle Iraqi crude oil and naphtha, according to a Syrian Energy Ministry official. Ahmed Kubbaji, deputy CEO of the Syrian Petroleum Company, said last month Syria was increasing its unloading and re-export capacity for Iraqi fuel products.
Concerning the infrastructure, we had very little yard space in the unloading areas, the facility, pumps and discharge points. Very little, so we carried out a full expansion of the yards.
Kubbaji said Syria is also working on reviving war-damaged pipelines to replace the tanker route. For now, tanker truck exports are expected to begin in early July, Syrian and Iraqi officials said. But with highways damaged by years of war, the route is fraught with risks. This is Ahmed Saddam of the University of Basra.
The biggest challenges may lie in the dangers of land transportation, maybe in the event of the unknown, maybe in some of the problems that occur on the roads leading to Syria, especially tensions and upheaval in areas along transport routes.
Under President Ahmed al-Shara'a, Syria is seeking to reintegrate into the regional and global economy. Decades of Assad family rule and nearly 14 years of war isolated the country and devastated its economy.
Now, Bolivia may finally be moving towards an end to nearly 2 months of unrest. President Rodrigo Paz has reached an agreement with the country's largest labor union, the Bolivian Workers' Confederation, and after weeks of strikes and roadblocks that disrupted daily life across the country seems to have come to an end. Take a look at the report.
Bolivia's president, Rodrigo Paz, on Friday struck a deal with the Bolivian Workers' Confederation, or COB. The agreement marks a step toward resolving a conflict that has paralyzed the country for almost 2 months. Roadblocks during anti-government protests have left people waiting in long lines for fuel and with limited access to food and medical supplies. The unrest began with worker strikes in May that grew into road blockades, cutting off La Paz and El Alto, home to around 2 million people. Protesters, including unions and groups loyal to former President Evo Morales, have been pushing the government to roll back belt-tightening policies and address rising costs. Speaking after the deal, Paz acknowledged the ongoing hardships and backed labor groups with, quote, legitimate demands. COB leader Mario Agoyo said pressure measures are being lifted nationwide after the government committed to immediately honor the deal. However, the conflict is far from over. Some rural groups aligned with Morales but were not part of the talks are keeping up roadblocks and continue to demand for Paz to step down. Early on Saturday, the president declared a state of emergency, clearing the way for military deployment to restore order nationwide.
Now, a new trade dispute is brewing between the United States and Germany. The Trump administration has launched an investigation into Berlin's plan to reduce spending on pharmaceutical products, arguing that the American consumers should not bear a disproportionate share of the cost of developing new medicines. Take a look at the report.
Launched a probe into Germany's plan to lower its spending on medicines.
Trade Representative Jameson Greer said his office would gather evidence before a public hearing in September. He said he was concerned that Berlin was fast-tracking legislation to reduce spending on innovative pharmaceuticals. Greer said American patients should not be left to shoulder a disproportionate share of drug development costs. He called on Germany to emulate a recent US deal with the UK on pharmaceutical pricing. Now the investigation could result in Washington imposing new tariffs on Germany's exports. It all comes after the country unveiled plans to reduce a looming funding gap for its healthcare system by $23 billion. Washington has already launched similar probes into other nations. Since returning to office last year, US President Donald Trump has carried out an aggressive trade agenda, with moves including the imposition of a global 10% tariff. Trump has previously threatened steep levies on foreign drug makers unless they cut prices and move production to the US. There was no immediate response from Germany to reports of the latest probe.
Now, rising avocado exports from Kenya to China are highlighting a broader shift in Africa's trade patterns, with the growing volumes and recent tariff cuts expected to support increased use of the yuan in cross-border transactions. Take a look at the special report.
At this avocado packing facility outside Nairobi, exporters say demand from China has surged in recent years. It's a sign of a broader shift in Africa's trade patterns, with growing volumes and recent tariff cuts expected to support increased use of the yuan in cross-border transactions. Thiku Shah is the managing director of Kenya's Sunripe.
We started exporting in 2022. And at that time, the Chinese market was buying between 10 and 20 containers a week. This week, China has landed 200 containers. So you can see the growth in 4 years. So the Chinese market will potentially grow to 1,000 containers by 2030, which is equivalent to what Europe takes. And the Chinese population is almost 3 times bigger than Europe.
China-Africa trade rose by nearly 18% last year, according to customs data. Tariff cuts on imports from 53 African countries introduced in May are expected to further boost flows. Some exporters say they are looking at alternatives to dollar-based transactions. Bankers say the shift toward yuan-denominated transactions is being driven by increased trade with China rather than a direct challenge to the US dollar. As export volumes grow, they say businesses are seeking ways to reduce conversion costs and manage foreign exchange risks. Exporters say the move toward yuan could streamline business operations.
If we invoice in yuan and the banks take yuan in settlement, and then we have a buyer for our yuan, then this would be perfect. Then if government takes it and is able to use that money now to pay